Hi, this is Kerry Artek with Wicked Stocks, bringing you your daily Apple report for Friday, June 9th, 2023. Before I click on the charts, please click like if you would, share if you would, subscribe if you would, and check out wickedstocks.com, where we offer a full suite of both daily and weekly analytical videos just like this in the daily Triple Q report, the daily SPY report, weekly analysis in the S&P 500, NASDAQ 100, and the long bond ETF, the TLT, as well as two individual stock picks every week that you never see on YouTube that are designed for I'd say the 3 to 5 week swing trader, the longer term swing trader, out to the near term investor, 3 to 5 months, always looking for that 20% move as a minimum price objective on the underlying stock itself. So it is a multi week, multi month dynamic for those longer term stock picks. Anyway, here we are, Friday, June 9th, for the Apple report. And I'm going to jump to the weekly chart just to remind you that we had a long-term buy signal 5-6 weeks ago above 170.51. This long-term channel structure, also in the daily chart, held beautifully for a couple of weeks. Certainly was hesitation, but in the last couple of weeks, up and away, we have retested the 182.94 January 22 all-time high and have backed off modestly. As I've been saying from the very beginning, I don't expect this market to get hung up at 182.94 on a longer term basis. I'm not anticipating a longer term double top. I do think closing above 182.94 is considered, by me anyway, an eventuality, because overall I am expecting the 219.84 long term channel top. So I'm speaking to investors now, those of you who just want to buy Apple and put it in your back pocket and keep it for months to come. I do think 219.84 in reach, possibly by the end of the year, especially if we close soon above 182.94 at the end of any week. That might be today, which I'll get to in a moment. If we close above 182.94, I do think the 219.84 channel top probably 3 to 5 months away from being realized. And that is really kind of the bigger picture. Let's take a look at, I'm going to jump to this chart here, the 176.67 former channel top that actually, when we actually gapped above it, it's really held nicely, at least about a week and a half ago. We've come close to testing it late this week, and it's our stabilizing element. It is our floor of short-term support, above which the updraft continues, obviously longer term, above which 180.95 in reach, again, possibly today. We came close to testing. That is nothing more than the high settlement price from about a week ago. Now, downside, I also have 179.01 as a downward pivot point. If you look at a 5-minute bar chart, you'll see that was a prominent low from Thursday's trade. And if we take that low out, I think 176.67 is likely today. So we can trade inside the 179.01 to 180.95 region for a good part of the day, but odds favor pushing or opening above 180.95 today, 182.94 then likely, where yes, we can actually top out perhaps through next week. But if we close above 182.94, it would be consistent with the longer term buy signal. As I say, I consider it an eventuality, closing above 182.94 at the end of the week. And if that happens today, this week, this is Friday, then we should, by the end of the year, reach that 219.84 long-term channel top. So if you haven't bought, the 200, 220, 240 out of the money calls that don't expire for at least a year, if you haven't done that, if we close today above 182.94, that would be your next opportunity to do so. So that's that. Now let's talk downside again. I don't see it today, but it could happen. We break 176.67. That should then yield this channel bottom at 175.09. So it's not a big sell-off if we break 176.67. As I've been mentioning, this is also consistent with a longer-term buy signal, that the clear sell signals on the way back down are stair step, usually play out that way. And that's because, these corrective sell-offs near term in the midst of a long-term bull market, a long-term buy signal, have a knack of not following through, of not completing themselves. They reject quite easily. So, breaking 176.67 today should yield 175.09, where we actually might bottom out through next week. And from there, rally back to that 182.94 all-time high, not a all-time high anymore, the previous all-time high back in January of 22. We've taken that high out, actually, of course. So, what to say? Are we going to close below 175.09? If we do, then yes. Okay. 3 to 5 day sell signal back into the low 170s. So, I would call 175.09 your bottom picking opportunity into later June, perhaps. Not only may it contain selling through next week, but possibly through the rest of June. And once tested, we could rally to 182.94 or higher within a week or two of testing 175.09, because it is a trend defining channel bottom that stems back several months. And yet, if we close below 175.09, then yes, 170.51 becomes a 3 to 5 day objective. Sorry, that is that long-term channel top on, there's the daily chart at 170.18, but it is the weekly chart at 170.51 that becomes a 3 to 5 day target if we close today below 175.09, something that I'm not anticipating, but that doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean it won't happen. It could happen. So if we close below 175.09, you're a 3 to 5 day swing trader. Don't go home long over the weekend. In fact, if you're to go home with any position at all, closing below 175.09, it should be to the short side, anticipating then the 170 handle long-term support where profits should be taken if you're short at all, and long entry made either near term back to 182.94. You could buy 183 out of the money calls that don't expire for at least a month under that scenario of testing 170.51, or you could once again, if we fall to 170.51 over the next week, 2 or 3, you could then reach for 220, 240 out of the money calls that don't expire. I would go a year out. It's not going to take that long, but you want to preserve your delta on the way up, less susceptible to the time decay element, so forth and so on. And of course, if we were over the next few weeks to close below 170.51, that would be a significant rejection of a long-term buy signal. In essence, a valid sign of weakness as we continue into July-August trade. But I'm not even going to go there right now because there's no sense in wasting my air on such an unlikely scenario, at least at this point in time. I'm going to leave it at that for Friday's Apple Report. I'll be back Sunday afternoon with Monday's Daily Apple Report. Please click like, share, subscribe, and check out wickedstocks.com. You have a great weekend.